Hi everybody, Deb here. I am going to do a quick overview of Zoom, and I'm going to kind of try to explain the difference between attending the meeting and hosting the meeting. They're two different things when we're using Zoom, and I just want you to kind of get an idea. For the most part, when we send out a link to folks, we're basically sending them out a link to attend a meeting. The links that I have on the website, for instance, those are all for people to attend the meeting. And basically, that's all they need for attending a meeting. Now, there may be something wrong with their machine, or they might not be able to pick up for some reason the link that has the passcode and everything in it. So I also want to make sure that we send out the meeting ID, and I'm going to show you where to get that, and the passcode for an ID. And the other thing that happens, there are a couple of things that happen when you just start using Zoom as a tool to host your online meetings. Basically, you can always see Zoom if you go to the Zoom, basically the Zoom website and type in the meeting ID and passcode. You can actually attend a meeting without downloading anything onto your machine, just by having that information. But for the most part, when we're using Zoom regularly, it's going to prompt us to ask, do you want to, if you haven't downloaded the Zoom app to your desktop, and most of us use computers, or we use phones, or we use them on our iPads or tablets, basically it'll prompt us and ask us to download that. By doing that, it works out really good. Hi, and the other thing that I was going to say is you'll be prompted to download the Zoom app, and that app basically just gives you it's like any other app that you use on your phone or your tablet or anything else. It's just an application, and so instead of you would still, once you put your email in and once you configure the app, once it's on your machine, then whenever you click a link that you get on your computer from an email, if it's on your computer per se, it's going to come up and it's going to have your information in there because you put it. If you put a picture in there, it'll have the picture. If you put your name or your email, it will identify you automatically when you click on to attend a Zoom meeting. So I'm still talking about basically attending Zoom meetings. Now, the second part of working on Zoom is hosting Zoom meetings. And so that's where before there's a link to something, an administrator or the host of a meeting has to go into the administrator's account or to the main account holder, and basically set up a meeting. Now we're using Harvest Time International has a Zoom account, and that's the one we've been using for our classes. And so I think Jeff and Bishop, basically they have the hosting credentials, and I and me have a hosting credentials, and we go in and we schedule the meetings and we set up the links, and then we make sure that the people who need the links get the links. And then from there, the people we want to attend the meeting, we give them the link, and all they need is the link, and they don't need anything else. They don't have to start the meeting or anything. But the host has to start the meeting in order for the interaction to work, to where you get to see me and I get to see you, and we get to hear everybody. So that is a part of the hosting. And so I'm going to switch over and I'm going to kind of show you. Right now it's only going to be me, so it might act a little wonky, and so we may have to do this in a couple of different videos. But right now I'm going to go ahead and open up that Zoom interface so that you can see it, and I'll try to take us through the steps of this admin part, and then I'll try to start the meeting so that you can kind of see what happens when you start the meeting. And then once you're hosting the meeting, the host can make the speaker, whoever's going to be the presenter, the teacher, they can make the speaker a co-host in case something happens with the host, internet goes down or for some other reason, and then the co-host can take over and the meeting goes on as is. Whenever we record, as a host, whenever you record, you always want to record to the cloud. And I'm going to try to show you that in just a second. So here we go. There we go. And so now I think you see this is the control panel. So what I'm going to do is pretend that I didn't do that, and I'm going to open up a blank thing here. A blank window, excuse me. And I'm going to, let's see, I think I'm already set for this machine to save me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go zoom.us. There you go. And normally over here it says join, and that's where if you have the web ID you can join the meeting, or you can host a meeting. Gives you some choices here. Oh, video off, screen share only. Okay, no, we don't need to do any of those. And then this is where, instead of it saying my account, because I'm in the Harvest Time International account, it usually says sign in here, and this is where you would put the sign in information. But just to make things a little easier, I'm going to go ahead and click my account, and you'll see that it shows up, and it shows we're in Bishop Samuel's account for Harvest Time International. And you'll see that over here, basically it just shows us the information, the profile. If you have the hosting credentials, eventually all of the teachers should get to the point where they can host their own meetings. Jeffrey does, I know, and Bishop does. Wanda and Ann and Kathy, anybody else that's going to host a meeting, we will try to get you in. It's just that since this account is under Bishop's name, Bishop is, whenever you try to log in on your computer or your phone or whatever, it asks you for an authentication code. And the authentication code in this case is tied to Bishop's phone. So that means that Bishop needs to know you're trying to log in, so he'll look on his phone, he'll see the code, and he'll send it to you. Or else he'll just say, yes, that's me trying to get in. Go ahead and let him in. And as long as he authenticates it on his phone, most of the time you can log in. But there needs to be that coordination there. That's why it's a little complicated. And it's a security feature, and so that's what we do. Anyway, what you would do after you get in, after you've logged in, you'll come over to meetings, and you will see that the meetings. Now, the next meeting we have is going to be a 4:30 meeting, and that's our weekly meeting. If you scroll down here, you're going to see here's Jeff's meeting, here's the Thursday meetings, and as you scroll down here, Bishop has the India meetings, and then here's Monday, the New Testament Covenant, and then here is the other meeting, and you'll see that they're all on here as reoccurring meetings, basically. And so that's kind of how we set those up. And so for the most part, hosting a meeting, all you're going to need to do is come over and hit the start button. Now, when you start, I'm hoping you can see this. I already have the Zoom app on my desktop. So I've already downloaded this. So I always want to hit the Open Zoom Meetings here. Now you'll notice if you don't have Zoom loaded on your desktop or your computer, what you may want to do, you could launch the meeting from here, but it would only let you see what's on your browser. And so that's why you want to do this, because you see Zoom wants to open this application. That's because I have the Zoom application. If I don't have the Zoom Workplace app already installed, I come down here and I would click on it, and I would download the Zoom app. And I'll show you why in a minute. Let's see what happens. So basically I said okay. So now in a different window, it's connecting. It's going to have a little bit of a heart attack. Let's see if I can get it over here. Okay, this is what actually happens. Okay, when you log in, it asks me if I want to join when computer audio, and I'm going to say yes. So it says you're now computed. Now it's not going to. I have my camera going on the other application, so it's not going to be happy about me actually starting my camera. I'll show you here. It's going to it gives me a thing saying it can't start my camera. So I'm not gonna worry about that because I've actually got my video going on the recording software that I'm using right now. But what I want to do is I want to go through basically what the control panel is all about and where everything is. Now right now, if I go up to the top here, you'll see it says sign in. That's to sign into my personal account. I don't need to because I've signed into Bishop's because I'm a host of this meeting. You can click the little view button, and I wanted to just show you that the view button gives you a chance, and I'll show you, and you see this when you start hosting. If you host meetings, you always want to make sure that the speaker is highlighted. And so I can go to speaker view, I can go to gallery view. If you want to have a group meeting where you've got 10 people in there, you kind of want people to be able to see each other. So you can kind of see the little the icons here. And the other thing sometimes I do when I'm hosting a meeting and I'm recording it, and I only want the speaker to show up, I will hide my self view so that you won't see it. See, if I have self view is enabled because there's nobody else in here, so I can't really do that. I can't show self view. There we go. If I had a bunch of people, I could take myself away if I was recording the group. Anyway, I wanted you to kind of see, this is when you first come to Zoom. What happens when people start coming is your video gets smaller and smaller so that you get to see everybody in the room. Now, as I roll over at the bottom, this is my little control panel, and as I'm viewing here, I will go through what it looks like to host a meeting on an iPad in a little bit, because I know some of us are using iPads. But basically, if you're on a laptop or a computer, you should have a window something like this. Now I say that if you're on a Macintosh, a lot of times this is reversed and you're up here. Your control panel may be at the top. I don't know. Each different computer is configured just a little bit differently. Now you'll notice here you can, I'm recording, which I probably should unrecord that because we don't want the audio feedback. So right now I'm muted, and my screen is muted because I'm using my other video. As far as participants go, I'm the only participant here. But I wanted to kind of mention that if you click on this, I can rename this. So if I want this to be, instead of Harvest Time International, if I want to put my name there, I can just go in and change the name. And so, but it still shows me, since I'm the host, you'll always see me as the host. When there are a bunch of people in the meeting, you have other choices. Like I have a bunch of other choices here. If I had 2 people or 3 people, I would have other choices. If you have 2 or more extra people, you can spotlight the speaker. You can, if you only have 1 other person, you can pin the person. But it gives you some other options there. You can make other people co-hosts. That's what I was talking about when we were looking at the slide. If you run into a situation where you forgot to set it to mute for people, you can mute everybody that comes in. Obviously not a big deal for our groups because we have pretty small groups, so we don't really have to worry too much about that. If in fact you need to send an invitation to somebody, if you click on the invite button, you'll notice that it gives you a couple of things. It gives you the meeting ID, and down here in the far right, it gives you the meeting passcode. You can copy the invitation, or you can copy just the link. The one thing about the invitation that is better than just the link gives people just the link to the actual meeting itself, and it includes the passcode, so it kind of incorporates the meeting ID and the passcode. The copy the invitation, if something happens and somebody's computer doesn't work right, if they have the invitation, they can audio call in, and then they just put in the meeting ID and the passcode when they call in. So the invitation a lot of times will give people a phone number that they can use to do that. So that is, let me just show you where that is again. That's in the Participants tab. It's at the bottom. and you can invite people right there, and you can get the information. If you copy the link, it's going to incorporate the meeting ID and the passcode into a what they call an encrypted link. That's why that link is so long that you see when you get one. It's because it's encrypted through Zoom. Okay. I will show you, if you copy the invitation, it's been copied to a clipboard. Let me see if I can, whoops a daisy. Oh, here. Okay. I forgot that I copied the invitation and posted it there. Now, I edited this invitation a little bit, but basically it says Harvest Time International. Yeah, forget this part up here. There you go. Harvest Time International is inviting you to a scheduled Zoom meeting. Here's the topic. And this is telling you when. When I first copied it, it basically gave me 20 different occurrences, because that's how many I have scheduled. And then Zoom, here is the encrypted link by itself. Here's the meeting passcode. And if, for instance, somebody needed to dial in, they could use one of these phone numbers to dial in, and all they would need then would be the meeting ID and the phone number. So that's kind of what that invite, if you copied that invitation, that's the basic information you really need from that. So I'm going to close that. If you're going to share your screen, what happens when you go to share your screen is it pops a window up and it says, gee, you want to show, you want to show this or this or this or this. Usually what I try to do is I try to grab a screen that I have either my slides on or the Word document if I'm doing that. It kind of gives you an idea. I have actually two screens on my computer. I have my laptop, and then I have the screen that I'm using on this presentation. So that's why you see screen 1 and screen 2. Most people have screen 1. And my evidently Bluetooth is picking up my iPhone because it's sitting right here, so I guess I could share that if I wanted to. And then this is the Zoom. This is the screen that is right behind my meeting screen. So you get to pick which screen you want. Oh, this is the software I'm using to record this thing. So that's why I've got so many different options here. But technically, that's what you get. Once you select an option and then you click the share button, then that's the screen that people are going to see who are attending the meeting that you're hosting. Okay. That's the share button. We don't really use the AI component, and we don't use the summary because we're just not using that stuff. There are some other apps here. Can you collaborate? You have to configure this stuff as host. You would configure these types of collaboration options. A lot of times it has to do with if you wanted to do polls or quizzes, or depending on the type of meeting you're going to have, that's why you would do that. Whiteboard is a new kind of function, and here, allow to share with this, who can share. It kind of gives you some other information. So it's all about configuring those options. We don't necessarily need to do that. Now, it does give us a note-taking. Let me move this over, and I'll show you what that does. I literally could take notes, or anybody could take notes. I think it's open to everybody. You would just have to click pop out, and then click notes. Here again, we don't use that. I usually just share my screen and show everybody the Word document I'm working on. Keeps me from having to copy and paste it. Now, this is where, in this particular, my screen is smaller, and so I use the More button to show chat, to record, and remember I said that basically when you're hosting the meeting, you're going to record to the cloud. Here's your polls and breakout rooms. If we ever hosted a meeting where we wanted to have 3 different speakers, we could have 3 different breakout rooms, and each speaker would then go to the breakout room and do their presentation. So that's kind of cool. And reactions are, you see the reactions, they show up down here when we have them turned on, and it's the applause, and it's the thumbs up, and it's the heart button, and it's that type of thing. And we could activate those, but sometimes they're a little distracting, so we don't. But anyway, so hosting the meeting, that's pretty much what you're looking for when you're here. You want to make sure you've got, if you're going to speak, You want to make sure you unmute and make sure that you show your camera. Obviously, I told you that because I'm using this other video, you can't see my camera. And that's all we really need to do. I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting, and it says end for all. If you are the host, you are ending the meeting for all. And then you're done. And so now we're back to this. This is the general Zoom window that opened. If I hadn't said open in that Zoom window, I would have opened it right here. It would have opened right here. So I'm going to close this, and this takes me, you notice you've got a bunch of extra tabs here that you can come up with, and this takes me right back to where I was in my meetings. So I think that's all I want to do for hosting meetings.